Alright guys, welcome back. GM Light here. Today we're going to be talking about my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2024. The movies that I'm most excited about seeing, finally getting a look at. And it's going to be a lot of franchise sequels, stuff that we know for sure is coming out. Hopefully there's a lot of other surprises, other movies that we don't know about coming yet that will kind of unveil themselves throughout the year. But for now, just looking at what's coming out, what stands out the most to me, what I'm most excited for. These are my top 10, so let's get into it. First with a couple of honorable mentions. There's a couple of Blumhouse horror movies, Night Swim and Imaginary. They look like unique little, potentially cool horror movies that could take me by surprise. Definitely have my eyes on those, and I'm hoping that they actually do turn out to be good. They could be hit or miss in quality, but they seem like they have unique enough ideas to where maybe they'll hit, maybe they won't, but I guess we'll just have to see. And then also Godzilla x Kong New Empire. This movie looks pretty fucking stupid, but it definitely will be entertaining, provide some of the monster shit that you come to these movies watching. I'm sure it won't be anything sophisticated, it won't be anything in line with what it looked like they were going for in Godzilla -1, but just classic Kong Godzilla action. Can't complain too much. I'm sure I will enjoy it, but it's not enough to actually be on my top 10 list, because at the end of the day, it's probably not substantively going to be a great movie and probably won't end up on my top 10 of the year. So let's get into the actual top 10. And for number 10, I'm going with The Wolfman. Supposed to start Ryan Gosling, and I wish that he stayed on that project because that was part of the reason I got so excited. But what really excites me about this is that Leigh Whannell is directing. He's done a really good job with the movies that he has made. Did a really good job with Insidious 3, Upgrade, The Invisible Man 2020 remake. All that stuff really good. He knows exactly how to direct horror, and it seems like he knows how to handle these projects in a way that's interesting, kind of modern. And I have no doubt that whatever he chooses to do with this movie, it's probably going to be really cool and interesting. So I felt like I definitely had to include it on the list. For number 9, another kind of odd remake of a very old horror property, Nosferatu. Robert Eggers is a great director as well, and this is another situation where the director kind of draws me more to the concept itself. It looks pretty cool. You have Bill Skarsgård as Nosferatu, or Count Orlok in the movie, which is great casting, pretty perfect. Everything with the set photos, the pictures, it all looks like it's gonna come out to be a really interesting timepiece, something that Eggers has proven 3 times in a row he could do and do very well. So I have no doubt that this is gonna be a very interesting movie and definitely has top of the year potential, especially seeing as I'm pretty sure The Lighthouse as well as The Northman both came in at pretty high on my top of the year lists whenever those movies came out. I think Northman was last year. Next up in the number 8 spot, Jordan Peele. I guess I didn't even think about the fact that while putting this list together, this is the 3rd in a row where it's basically the director is why I chose it. Get Out might be my favorite horror movie the last 20 years. Don't quote me on it, but it's one of my favorites of all time. It's just stuck with me. I really like that movie a lot. I also think Us is a great movie. Obviously, Us and Nope aren't the same quality as Get Out, but that's a very high bar, so it's not really something you can necessarily expect every time from the same director. But as he continues to grow, you could see how he thinks, how he likes to pick his projects, and whatever he's going to do, it's going to be very original and well written, definitely well acted. I hope he continues to team up with Daniel Kaluuya, because I think he's a great actor, and I also love whenever they team up, they usually do something pretty special together. There's not really any plot reveals or details, so nothing to really go off of with this movie in any kind of plot, just besides the fact that it releases on Christmas, so who knows, maybe that has any kind of significance. It could totally not, but who knows. But for that reason, it's at number 8. I think when I see more tangible stuff with this movie, it could definitely skyrocket and go higher, but for now, we don't have a trailer, we don't even really have a cast or anything, so we'll just have to wait and see. Then for number 7, Maxine. This is the 3rd in the X trilogy, and it's crazy that this franchise really feels like it came out of nowhere, and now it's one of the best running horror franchises going on right now. X and Pearl came out within 7 months of each other, and they were both of totally equal quality. Really good films, enough to the point where I kind of cheated in my top 10 of the year last year and put them together in one spot. But both are really that damn good, and I have no reservations about the quality of this one. I think that it's going to be just as great as the other two, and I think it'll make for a really cool, solid horror trilogy, and I'm excited at the prospect of that, so I'm punching it in at number 7. Next up, Alien Romulus. The Alien franchise, I love it. I'm a huge fan of it. I have a lot of the extended lore more with the comics and stuff. I follow a lot of alien theory video accounts and stuff. I like to watch that stuff. The expanded lore and universe just always interests me, and I'm a huge fan actually of what Ridley Scott did with Prometheus and Alien Covenant as well. And although I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't get to finish out that trilogy, get a more holistic story with David, the creation, all that other stuff, and the engineers, it seems like they're really taking the right approach to this movie to get the fans back on board and get back in their good graces by going kind of back to square one, taking the Prey approach, just the general idea, sizing it down, probably having a smaller budget, and just taking advantage of the concept of an alien on board of a ship. The early reactions are very good. Ridley Scott, who I don't think he'd have any reason to lie, said that he really dug it, which take that with what you will, because I know that a lot of people have questioned his idea of quality lately, but that is always a good sign for me. Fede Alvarez, he's a great director. He's done Don't Breathe, the Evil Dead remake, which I think is one of the best resurgences of a franchise ever made. So the fact that he's been put in charge to kind of kick things back into high gear with Alien, amazing choice. And for that reason, I felt that Alien Romulus definitely deserved a spot on this list. Now, kind of starting us off on the top half of these movies, I'm going with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So even though Matt Reeves isn't coming back to direct, I still have a lot of faith. The trailer looks great, the landscapes look beautiful, and it seems like they're going back to the human element to Planet of the Apes, which is always the best element. That's what made this last trilogy so good, is those emotions, the way that they actually made you feel for these apes and root for them, get into their lore and their different personalities. Seems like they're trying to do that with this next movie that takes place 300 years after War for the Planet of the Apes. I'm hoping that we get good extended world building with this while also providing great original apes characters. And all that said, it just looks like it fits right in with the last three. Honestly, a seamless transition, and for those reasons I'm really hoping that it brings the same level of quality as those last three, but I'm sure that they will. I'm sure that it will be managed properly and that we'll get another great Apes movie, making for the fourth great Apes movie in a row. That'd be awesome, and I'd love to see it. Moving on to number 4, Saw 11. I wasn't expecting to actually include this movie on this list because until recently we didn't even know that we were going to get Saw 11 so soon. They're doing a 1-year turnaround, which is pretty damn quick, and just the way that they used to do the Saw movies in the old days, and I'm glad to see that. I have a little bit of reservations, of course, about rushing a next one out so quickly, but I think that them looking and evaluating and seeing what worked about Saw 10 and why it resonated more with people, and then applying that to Saw 11, I think is the perfect way to go, and that will definitely be the deciding factor in whether this franchise continues in the good graces of fans. If they learn those right lessons and what made this last movie so compelling to people, that's mainly what they need to succeed, and if they stick to that, I think that they could get it done and get it done right, and we'll have another great Saw movie to talk about. Now into the top 3. So 3 is going to be Joker 2, the only DC movie that it seems like we're getting next year, but at least though, it's going to be one that I feel like I could actually get excited about. You know, with so many DC movies in 2023 pretty much just sent out to die, it's kind of hard to get excited for DC movies nowadays. It's really a thing of just, you can't trust the studios. You feel like whenever you get something that's enjoyable, if it doesn't work exactly the way that they want it to, if it's not a billion-dollar success, if the fans don't overwhelmingly respond to it, they pull the plug immediately and don't stay the course. But it feels like Joker's one of those things where it's in a pocket universe. It feels a little bit more protected, especially because of how successful that first movie did. And since Warner Brothers kept its greedy fucking paws out of the movie, it actually was allowed to be nourished and turn out good. And I'm hoping that that trend continues with this one. Seems like they're taking an interesting approach. I could see Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn being a huge popular standout character from this year and from this movie. All the set photos are telling me that this is going to be another great Joker movie when, you know, honestly, we didn't need a Joker 2. That first one's a great standalone movie, but if we get another great one, if we get a great sequel, which it looks like this is turning out to be, they took their time. They probably thought a lot about what worked about that first one so that they could come back again and provide another great Joker movie for us. Now, in the second to last spot, this is the franchise that in some ways has got me a lot of traction on YouTube, Terrifier 3. I love to talk about this franchise, Art the Clown, theorizing, talking about this character, because it's just such a fun throwback to the way slasher movies used to be. The ones that were character-centric instead of more conceptual like they kind of do nowadays. And what there is to get excited about is that it seems like every time Damien Leone improves. It seems like from All Hallows Eve to Terrifier 2, he keeps learning and continuing to prove himself, honing his craft, figuring out the right balance of, violence and story and character. That's something that a lot of people would argue escalated 2 and made 2 win a lot of people over even if they weren't a fan of the first one. And because it's very evident that Damien Leone is online a lot, that he listens to criticism, that he takes it to heart and actually applies it to his movies, I think that he's going to have the right messages in his head when he makes this movie. I think that he's going to continue to develop and evolve as a filmmaker. And if we get a great Terrifier 3, another awesome trilogy in the can for horror. So hopefully this movie is great, which I think it will be. And then now in the number 1 spot, this is going to be a lot of people's. It's a pretty basic answer, but how could you not get excited? It's Deadpool 3. Deadpool and Wolverine teaming up together for a whole movie. The idea is just awesome. It's something that the fans have been wanting for a long time. And what I love about Deadpool and both Wolverine is that, they are hugely foils for each other. They're not alike in almost any way. And I think that that's when the stories are told of them. That's why they're the most interesting, because they're so different from each other that, they could play the wild card and the straight man routine. I'm sure it'll be very funny. I'm sure it'll be action packed. I'm sure that there will be a lot of exciting things in the movie if not everything is spoiled before it comes out. I just hope that it isn't just jingling keys and a cameo fest. I hope that the story actually takes advantage of pairing these 2 characters up together and that we could have a lot of fun with that and their dynamic. So pretty much easily Deadpool 3 is my most anticipated movie of 2024. But that's just my list. What's your most anticipated movies of 2024? Let me know in the comments section. I'd love to hear. I'm GM Light. Have a good one.